There is no doubt that we are now living in a world in which the vast array of communication channels, the proliferation of innovative and advanced technologies, as well as the cultural and linguistic diversities, have originated new ways to approach literacy, or rather literacies. If we still think that literacy is confined to only reading and linear text in books and paper, and placing major emphasis on letters, sounds, and words in sentences, then we will need to reshape and redefine our view, given that people in today's society read and write multimodal texts in which different modes are integrated to convey meaning. But what do we mean when we talk about multimodal texts, or in this case, multimodality? Well, according to Kress and the New London Group, multimodality refers to the complexity and the interrelationship of more than one mode of meaning, that is, combining linguistic, visual, auditory, gestural, or spatial modes. It is for this reason that reading or writing alone just offer an incomplete idea of a text. Add to this that in multimodality we must bear in mind the intention and the kind of message we want to express. At this point, it is worth asking, are we language teachers aware of the type of texts and resources we are giving our students to read and write? Are we really teaching students to question, interpret, and transform the realities? This and many other questions call us to rethink our teaching practices in order to embrace a pedagogy of multiliteracies. A pedagogy of multiliteracies? Yes. Well, based on Kopp and Kalantzis 2009, a pedagogy of multiliteracies is that which moved literacy education from traditional and antiquated ways of teaching formal, monomodal, and standard language to a more informal, inclusive, and multimodal communication, in which linguistic and cultural diversity are welcomed. Therefore, teachers will empower learners to think how textual practices help them construct their subjectivity and identity. All this will enhance social practices, for instance, ways of working in new or transformed forms of employment, new ways of participating as a citizen in public spaces, and even new forms of identity and personality. Now that these concepts are clear, let us describe how literacy and multimodality take place in the classroom. To begin with, it is important to clarify that my role as a teacher is not exercised in a school setting. Instead, I teach people who work in companies. In other words, my responsibility as a teacher is tightly related to the working life of my students. It is unquestionable the fact that we are living through a period of global and economic change in which more and more people need to communicate across borders with the speakers of other languages. Considering all this, including the diversity and cultural background learners bring to the class, I always try to stimulate their different ways of learning and accessing texts. For instance, I usually project visual aids and videos and encourage learners to expose their ideas and make their own inferences, guided with the questions I make in order to help them construct and convey meaning. At other times, I find it meaningful to take advantage of their drawing abilities in order to help them represent thoughts and meaning through graphics and illustration for partners to guess and express in the target language what these
Yes,
images
today
represent.
I speak about
Here, for
my
example, the student is using
first. I
illustrations
wake
as a
up
visual
early in
aid
the morning.
to describe his
At
own daily
5 a.m.
routine to the rest of the
I
class.
get up. Then I take a shower.
I also incorporate technology into the class in order to help students communicate not only globally but also with partners as well as me. We take advantage of social networks and online texting with educational purposes in order to engage and interact in the target language out of class. According to Knobel and Lankshear 2014, these new literacies as social practices are more participatory, collaborative, and less individual than conventional practices. Thus, the use of technology implies putting knowledge and skills together with a social purpose. Nevertheless, what matters most is that in our class, my students and I are well aware that there is not a single truth, but different perspectives and approaches to the same reality. So, if we still think that there is a single truth or an only way to approach language, and if we leave out the students' identities and cultural backgrounds, consequently, this will lead to a more authoritarian kind of pedagogy. Instead, as the New London Group suggests, we, as educators, need, or rather must, help learners to develop the capacity to speak up, to negotiate, and to engage critically with the conditions of their working lives. Now that we have seen and described how literacy and multimodality occur in the English class, let us discover how these student workers approach literacy in their workplace. Before we hear them, it is important to explain that the company in which my students are enrolled is related to the world of cycling. They are responsible for the designing and manufacturing of uniforms for international cycling leagues. Hence, these workers, who are designers and marketers, need to learn English in order to communicate with foreign customers due to the fact that their main clients are competitors from abroad.
Do you think that there is a different way to read and write different from the conventional way?
Well, actually, yes, because you can read or write in different things right now in our culture, like Facebook, like Instagram, or even the social networks really works very well in a different way to express yourself. So yeah, I think.
Okay, thank you. Why do you need to use English in your work?
Well, actually, I have to use my English to contact all the customers and also to interpret everything. And then I have to transfer all the ideas of the customer and translate this to the all the design that he wants and create the big expectation for them.
Okay, thanks. When you make a design, yes, what do you need to take into account?
Uh, First of all, I need to know the expectation that the customer needs for his design, and then I have to put all my knowledge about or through about the idea that the customer needs, and then I have to create something that even the customer likes. This one has to work very well for his environment.
Very good. And finally, how has English transformed your life?
Well, actually, transforms a lot because right now I travel a lot, and my best friend is from USA, and then also on my bank account, you can say that improves a lot.
Language teachers must start interrogating the way we are teaching students to read and write and help them access text in a critical way. It is our duty to enable them to adopt a critical view of the content and the context of the text, as well as the materials they read. In this way, they will be able to interrogate the message and ultimately develop agency to transform their lives for the better. So, in a pedagogy of multiliteracies, students and teachers see ourselves as active participants committed with social change. In other words, as the New London Group suggests, the Multiliteracies pedagogy is an innovative attempt to combine the strengths of past approaches to overcome their weaknesses, while addressing the need for new, multimodal, digitally mediated, culturally diverse and dynamic multiliteracies for our changing times. Indeed, this is the only hope we have to avoid conflicts about diversity and identities that today seem to break out. As a result, we need to help learners feel that their different backgrounds and experiences are worth bringing into the classroom.
Everyday object.